Three, two, one, bam. You're on Artist on Record, your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artists. If it's your first time here, subscribe, post your comments down below, and hit the notifications tab whenever we come on. In the hot seat, Mr. Bob Daisley. And Bob, welcome to the show, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be back. Yeah, good talking to you.
Always great to have you back. So, Bob, what's trending? You know what's trending in the news.
Yeah, I sure do.
How do you escape it, Bob? How do you escape all this crazy stuff?
How do I escape?
Yeah, all the crazy stuff. You know, I mean, you're on a 24/7 crazy train.
Yeah.
So
well, nowadays my life's a lot quieter. You know,
it is.
I still play, I still write, I still record, and those sorts of things. But I retired from touring a while back. But I'll never retire from music. That'll be till my last breath. You know?
No, that's your thing. And you know, I want to do a little plug for you because for everybody that knows the legacy of Bob Daisley, you could get to know a lot more about Bob. You got to check out his book right here for fact's sake. You could get it on Amazon. I'll put links down below. Click right above your screen. You'll really dig the book itself. It's stories of Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Rainbow, Uriah Heep, just a whole bunch of Mother's Army, Widowmaker. You got the Blizzard of Ozz, Gary Moore, Chicken Shack, which we were just talking about. Chicken Shack. You have a little plaque in Liverpool by the Cavern, correct?
The Cavern, yeah, because in 1972 we played at the original Cavern in Liverpool. I think it got moved a little time after that because they were doing some major construction work, something to do with a railway station or something like that. But we got to play on that original stage in the original Cavern. It was for me, being a major Beatles fan, it was quite fascinating. You know, here I am, finally standing on the stage.
So I mean, you're one of the lucky guys, okay? Because I'm going to Liverpool, and as a fan of the greatest band, one of the greatest bands in the world,
Yeah,
being on the actual stage before they moved the building.
yeah.
Wow, the just what was it like? Did you recall like the smell, just the odor, just the whole vibe? What was it? Was it like a little cellar?
It was sort of, you know, damp and danky. And I remember one of our road crew, Phil Carter, found a dead rat under the stage.
Oh my God. So it was really the CBGBs before
Oh
CBGBs.
yeah. It was a funky little hole in the ground, you know, but just fantastic to be there, you know, to soak up those vibes from not that long after it all happened there. You know, it started off in the early '60s, and being there in '72 was, you know, several years afterwards, but it still felt fresh from
Yeah.
when it all happened.
Yeah, the DNA was still on the sweat, everything was still there.
Yeah, and the rat.
And the rat, maybe the rat.
Could have been
I mean,
one of the original rats.
now there was no backline at the Cavern, right? They just bands would bring their own gear there, correct?
Oh yeah.
So just explain what you'd have to go down, bring that stuff down one way and just
Well, the road crew did, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So at the time when you guys did it, you were already at your prime with Chicken Shack when you guys did it. You
Yeah,
had
well,
your
Chicken
crowd
Shack
there.
was the main band.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main bands played there. I think there's quite a few plaques outside with various bands and acts that played there over the years, while it was still the original Cavern.
Wow, that's awesome. So how did it sound? How was the sound? Do you remember how that was? The sound system?
Um, can't remember that much about the gig. I remember being very, very fascinated walking in there and thinking, "Wow, this is where it all started," you know.
Yeah.
And here I am, you know, I was 22, so and a major Beatles fan, and had been a huge Beatles fan since when I was about maybe like 13.
We never get tired of hearing stories about the Beatles. It's ongoing.
No. That there's the greatest thing that ever happened to popular music.
In the shortest amount of time, all the great music
Yeah,
that they wrote. And
yeah,
and and even when you think about George Harrison, who really they weren't even giving him a shot to write a good song, and what he wrote, I mean, come on, Frank
yeah.
Sinatra covered his
Later on,
song.
he really proved himself. But what a difficult task to be up against Lennon and McCartney. What's the competition? Lennon and McCartney. Oh dear.
But what's so funny about the whole thing too? The one guy who had a hit, a solo record, was Ringo. But I think before they did any of the solo guys, I think he might have been the first one, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
okay,
Yeah,
right.
he did that
Uh,
Ringo album with You're 16, and he had a bunch of hits on that. And
yeah.
yeah, I think he charted maybe with Photograph, which
As
Harrison
the
wrote that.
first solo Beatle, right?
Absolutely, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. A lot of
huh,
talent in that. A lot. I mean, it never gets old. And you know what? We could segue into this. It never gets old. Your stories, the Blizzard of Ozz band, that never gets old. I mean, right now, I mean, it's no secret. They just did the final Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne. It's done. It's retiring, so they say.
yeah,
Um, I
yeah. The
and just
final.
for,
Mm,
yeah, for anybody listening, this is just conversation. So whatever I say, whatever facts, if I get wrong, out there in the crowd, just have patience with me, okay? And Bob, and I'm gonna have Bob. I had some questions that you guys wrote on my wall. Some people have emailed our info at
okay,
adikalive.com, and they
right.
shot some questions at us, and you can answer them. You don't have to, or you could laugh at them off, whatever you want, Bob. I'm not going to put you on the spot. Well, I am going to put you on the
Right.
spot. That's what's good about the show.
That's why I'm here. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
To
all
be
good.
on the spot. Yeah.
You could plead the fifth. But let me ask you, Bob, the burning question. Um, did you feel anything when you heard about this Black Sabbath Ozzy Osbourne reunion, or it didn't bother you, or you just didn't think about it?
Well, obviously I thought about it. It's you can't help not think about it. But really, I knew I wouldn't be invited there. There's too much dirty water gone under the bridge for me to have been invited or to be a part of it. I think having been such a big part of the Sabbath family tree and the Ozzy family tree, um, I, I should have been acknowledged or recognised or at least mentioned somewhere along the line by somebody, even if it wasn't Ozzy himself or Sabbath. I did tracks on Bill Ward's solo album, the drummer of Sabbath. I did a Black Sabbath album, all of it, The Eternal Idol, and the Blizzard of Oz, the original band that we had with Ozzy after he'd gone from Sabbath. Uh, Set up his empire they've built an empire on those first two records that we did as the original lineup with Randy Rhoads and Lee Kerslake, myself and Ozzy.
Absolutely.
So to not acknowledge or recognize any of that is it just seems it's the elephant in the room, isn't it? It's
The bus. We'll keep them. We'll just keep them all discreet, like this right here.
all
A
right,
couple of my
sure.
friends, okay?
Hmm.
but but and working musicians, people who actually get paid for a living, and they all had their point of view, and everybody was shocked and think. And then the fans, I put a thing yesterday afterwards, and let me
Right,
see if I could share this with you really quick. So, because the public numbers don't lie, and the public, they're the voice. So right here, I did this. Was it what you expected? The final Ozzy Black Sabbath show. And then
right,
when I'm going on here, and if anybody wants to watch it, they could click on it. But I just want to show, there's positive reviews. But right here, we got to see the pay-per-view in the theater room with great sound. Ozzy looked like he was really enjoying himself. What a fantastic celebration of a legendary band. All other bands since owe everything to Birmingham's Black Sabbath. That's the first one. Then you got the second one. Bob Daisley and Vinny Appice should have taken part. And somebody writes, if you don't think Sharon won't prop him up again, you're nuts. I mean, the comments could be crucial. Be funny. What do they write here? And I disagree. I think it's the last time we see Ozzy do a full show, maybe a one-off or a one late night show, but I doubt it. Somebody writes he didn't even sing one song at the Rock Hall, and he did about 8 or 9 songs here. I think he sang them live, question mark. So some people are saying it wasn't him singing. Looks like a different times Ozzy wanted to get up out of that chair. So you got a lot of people, a lot of questions here. And as you can see,
I'm just glad that they did pull it off, because when I first heard about it, and knowing that the state that Ozzy was in, I did wonder, are they going to be able to pull this off? And is it going to be fair to the fans for the amount of money that they're paying? Is it going to be worth the dough that they're paying? But I'm glad that they did pull it off, and it all went fine, and the fans were, well, most of them, I suppose, were satisfied with what they got.
well, some were satisfied, and some the diehard fans, the generation that knows the work you've done, some of them are upset about it as well, and they would have liked
Yeah.
to seen you there. Let me ask you a question, Bob. If you
Hmm.
would have got a call to
Yeah.
go down there, would have you went down there and played?
No, I don't think I would have gone anyway. I probably would have said thank you for inviting me. It's nice, and I would have given some sort of message to the fans or whatever. But I really didn't want to be a part of it anyway.
Mhm.
So, and that's not sour grapes. It's I was surprised that Jakey Lee was there. With he's had some issues and problems over the years, but I think Jake just put his grievances aside and did it as a sort of, because that was a big part of his career and life in the days of Bark at the Moon and those days. So he just wanted to say farewell, and this is a have some closure on the whole thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I thought Jake looked great. I thought he played great, but
yeah, I did
especially
too.
after what he was just shot in Vegas, which is
I know, he got
crazy.
shot 3 times. Yeah, or
And the
3 bullets
story
in his head. Mm.
and the story for people to know, the gun that that was found that shot him, it turns out the people who shot him, that gun was linked to 2 different murders. Did you know that?
Oh wow! No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow,
Jake had posted that on his, Instagram, Facebook page. So
wow.
that they caught the guys. So now Jake even said that the eyes aren't on him anymore. He's okay, but those guys will probably be going away for a very long time, which is
Right.
crazy to think.
Yeah. So I suppose that'll be a charge of attempted murder, won't it?
Absolutely. Now, I'm happy Jake walked away. His dog is okay because, a lot of animals lovers out there, but that being said,
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate, and this is a conversation, not an interview with you, Bob, because you and I know each other, and I'm not taking sides because we like each other.
Hmm.
But I'm just being as an outsider looking in. I just don't know why Jake was playing not with Ozzy. Like he was playing. You know, he should have played a song with Ozzy. I felt.
Well, yes, yes. If he could have managed it, it would have been nice to see Jake do "Bark at the Moon" with Ozzy,
Yes,
because that
uh,
was the key song for that era.
absolutely,
Mm. It was
absolutely,
nice
and
to see Jake up there and as part of it, but I was surprised that he didn't do something with Ozzy.
I was absolutely. And some of the people there they did a great job, but some of it I didn't understand. Like, first of all, I thought it was really cool to see Ron Wood, but I thought it was very odd also, and it just didn't make
Where's
sense.
the link there? That's the association of. Ronnie Wood and Sabbath, or Steven Tyler doing a Led Zeppelin song on that. I thought that was a bit strange as
I,
well.
you know what, Bob? I think you're reading my mind, and you and I did not have a conversation about this. And
No,
I felt like it was great to see Steven Tyler sing because he was having problems with his vocals, and he sounded great. He sounded great, but it had no connection with Sabbath. I didn't
I know.
understand
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, the new kid, Young Blood, I think his name is. He's a new hot shot kid coming out, and I could see that more because he's kind of in the new world. He's getting up there. He's the
Hmm.
modern new rock star, but I didn't see the connection at all, and I was a little lost. You know, Tommy Aldridge. I would have liked to seen him there. How about Brad
Well, yeah.
Gillis?
Where was? Yeah, it was Don Airey wasn't even mentioned.
No,
No mention of Lee Kerslake,
no.
the drummer of the Blizzard of Ozz, or Johnny Cook, the keyboard player on Diary of a Madman. He's not often mentioned, and he played such a big part in being on that second album.
I mean, that that Blizzard of Oz, and for the people who maybe forgot or maybe do know, because there's people that really do know, um, that was a time when Black Sabbath, before that came out, they fired Ozzy. Nobody wanted to work with Ozzy at that time. You well, not kind of, you created this whole, you brought him out of the ashes and you created this band, and not a band, but it was such a chemistry that you, with Lee, you and Randy. I mean, it was so magical in those songs.
Well, there
It's
wouldn't have been the Blizzard of Oz as we know it with Randy Rhoads had it not been for me, because when I first went to Ozzy's house, he'd already seen Randy in LA, and he said, "Yep, you got the job." But he came back to England, and he had two other guys at his house, a different drummer and a different guitarist. And David Arden, um, Don Arden's son, Sharon's brother, he phoned me and said, "Go up to Ozzy's house." So I caught a train up. Ozzy met me at the station. We went to his house. At the end of us having a play together, I said, "Yeah, these other two guys are nice enough guys, and they're good enough players." And I said, "But then not what I would call world class." And he said, "Oh, okay." And he went in and told them that it wasn't working out and to go home. And then he said, "I met this other guitarist in LA." And I said, "Who's that?" And he said, "He's a guitar teacher." And I thought of some sort of guy in a cardigan and slippers with pipe and glasses. But he said his name's Randy Rhoads. I said, "Well, let's get him over here." And that's what started it was just me and Ozzy to start with, and then we got Randy over. Then it was three of us writing songs and auditioning drummers. But I didn't hear Kathy Rhodes. She did a little speech or something yesterday about the whole thing and
yeah.
about Randy. But the thing is, I don't think I ever heard Randy mention her, and that they weren't particularly close. Well, at
Mm-mm.
that time, while he was around, and all of a sudden she knows all the history about the band and the music and that, and she wasn't there and had nothing to do with it.
It's crazy. The
Yeah,
whole
it is crazy. It
it
is crazy.
it's almost like history was rewritten, and some
Oh,
people were just washed away and
yes,
forgotten.
yes, deliberately rewritten the whole thing. So there's so much. There are so many lies by so many people, inaccuracies, deliberate lies, rewriting of history, out and out bullshit. Some of it, it's just nonsense.
I,
But that's what you got.
th- let me ask you. When I go over the set list, and I was looking at the set list of the
Yeah,
show, the final
yeah,
show,
yeah,
and the songs from Ozzy's solo career, even though they say the final Black Sabbath, but it's the final. The Ozzy solo years is as big as the Sabbath years. I mean, the music they both did, it's
yeah,
huge, both
yeah,
huge.
yeah,
And both songs stand the test of times together. They'll be played forever
yeah,
till years from now. I mean, when you think about all these great, from War Pigs to Crazy Train, those are anthem songs that will
Yeah,
never go away. I mean, that is the Purple Haze. Like Hendrix is known for Purple Haze. The
yeah,
first thing when you think of Ozzy, you think Crazy Train, or you
right.
think Paranoid, or you think War Pigs for Black Sabbath. Am I
Yeah.
wrong on that, Bob?
No, you're right. That's right. They're like trademark songs,
They're
and
trademarks.
it's such a it fascinates me to see these big audiences, and they're all singing along, and they're singing my lyrics. So that's always, a real part of the job satisfaction. I remember when there was a huge festival in San Bernardino in the 80s called the Ozz Festival,
I
and
remember. Yeah.
it's like the size of Woodstock, 400,000 or 500,000 people, and to see a sea of people and all singing along my lyrics, it was just wow, just mind blowing for me. That how do you do a huge thing at like the end of it all and not acknowledge the person who wrote the lyrics? That's.
But when we go over the set list, what Ozzy played um, at that show yesterday, there were a lot of your songs on the solo years that he was playing, which is
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, yeah. What did he do? I don't know, Mr. Crowley, Crazy Train, and what else did he do? Oh,
Um,
Mama Coming Home.
it looks like I don't know,
Hmm.
Mr. Crowley,
Yeah.
Suicide
Oh,
Solution,
Suicide Solution. Yeah, Mama I'm
Mama,
Coming Home, and Mr. Crowley, and Crazy Train.
Mama, I'm
Yeah,
Coming Home. It's saying here, and Crazy Train,
yeah,
if I'm correct on those
yeah,
songs.
yeah,
Okay, and out of the songs that you wrote, I don't know, correct?
yeah.
I'm asking you now,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah, yeah,
Crowley.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mr. Crowley. Yeah, Suicide Solution,
Mm-hmm.
and Crazy Train.
And
Mama
Crazy
I'm Coming
Train.
Home was I played on it, but I didn't co-write it.
Where did that song come from, Mama, I'm Coming Home? Do you recall?
I think I don't know. I know Lemmy had a hand in some of those songs on that album. That was No More Tears.
Mm.
The other artists that did songs like The Ultimate Sin and Flying High Again, and they're my lyrics as well. Well, when we
There's
had the original band and we did that first UK tour in 1980, we did a Sabbath medley at the end of the set, about four Sabbath songs: Paranoid, Iron Man. Did we do War Pigs? I know it was about three or four songs of Sabbath that we did, but Randy didn't like playing Sabbath songs. He wasn't a fan of Black Sabbath.
That's wild.
Mm, yeah, he didn't. He wasn't into Sabbath at all.
That is wild. What was he into, Randy? What was his thing?
Oh, well, one of his favorite guitarists was Leslie West from Mountain. One of his favorite albums was a Uriah Heep album,
Well,
Demons and Wizards, so, which was nice for Lee being in the band because
yeah,
he'd been the drummer on that album. So yeah, it was like mutual respect for Lee and
absolutely.
Randy. Mm.
Absolutely. So Randy playing with Lee, it was just a joy. Like, wow, I'm getting to play
Oh
with the
yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But it wasn't really. It wasn't the band wasn't formed on paper or out of politics or anything. As soon as we started playing together, like the first time that Randy and I played together at Ozzy's place, we both knew because at the end of the first, how long ever we played, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it was, we just sort of jammed around and had fun. And we said to each other virtually at the same time, nice playing, or I like you playing, or good playing, something like that. And we said it together to each other at the same time. So, and as soon as we got Lee, having had the band with just Ozzy and me and Randy to start with, auditioning drummers and writing songs at the same time. We went through so many drummers and just couldn't find the right guy. We had one more person to audition, and then it would have the record company was saying we need the product. If this guy is no good or he doesn't suit, we're going to have to put you in the studio with maybe a guest player, somebody like Cozy Powell or somebody like that. And we thought, no, we want the band complete. We don't want guest drummers or a session player. We want a real band member.
Mhm.
But as soon as Lee started playing, Randy and I looked at each other, and here he is. This is the guy. Where have you been? Sort of like that. So it
I
was,
mean,
yeah, it all worked out just perfectly.
Lee's
It was meant to
signature,
happen, I think.
it was meant to happen. His
Yeah,
Over the Mountain, I mean, his signature drums, fills, and all
yeah,
it just he was meant to be. You know, it was funny when Ozzy at the end of the show, he mentioned, thanks to fans, because without you guys, he wouldn't be able to live the lifestyle that he has been living. But I
yeah.
was actually thinking there's a lot of other reasons too that helped you live that lifestyle, because at the time when Ozzy was going solo, nobody wanted to work with him. Am I incorrect on that?
Well,
At the end of
no,
Black
you're
Sabbath?
correct. And I was even warned against working with him. People in the business
Hmm.
said to me when I said I was going to go for another play with Ozzy and maybe we might get something together. They said, "Oh, stay away from him. He's finished. He's got kicked out of Sabbath for being out of his mind and non-productive." But something in me told me, "You got to do this. You got to keep at this. It's there's something going to happen here." And I just had that feeling. And as soon as I met Randy and we started working together, and it was Ozzy and Randy and me just putting songs together, putting the band together, it was all starting to click. And by the time we had the finished recording that first album, the Blizzard of Ozz, well, the band was called the Blizzard of Ozz as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
we kind of sat back and listened to what we'd done. We thought, well, we've done something special here. This is not because don't forget at that time, 1980. Well, we started the band at the end of 79. 1980, we recorded that album. The stuff that was kind of in vogue or being promoted and listened to at the time was mostly, well, there was the punk thing that was new, there was the
Mhm.
new wave thing, and there was disco music, and that was the stuff that was in vogue at that time. And what we were playing, the hard rock stuff, was considered by many old hat or dinosaur music or what. But we thought, well, we're not going to not be ourselves. We just have to be ourselves and just do what we're good at and hope they like it. And so
That
that's what we did.
so you didn't wear the skinny ties and the Capezio shoes.
No,
You
no, but
didn't.
that's people do that. They jump on bandwagons. What's in? Oh, let's follow that trend like a bunch of sheep. We didn't do that. We
No.
just we stayed ourselves. We're true to ourselves, and just fortunately, people did like what
N
we did.
You met Ozzy and you were doing
Hmm.
this. There was no contracts, nothing, no money. You just putting a band together, just guys together. Let's just do this and see what
Oh,
happens.
Don Arden, who had Jet Records, he was
Mhm.
financing the the money for us to live off each week, and paying for rehearsal rooms and paid for the album to be done. So that was Jet Records that put the dough up for the project to go ahead.
But Don Arden,
Yeah.
he was a tough guy too. I mean, legend
Oh yeah,
has it,
yeah. He had
you
yeah
know,
he had that reputation of they used to call him the Al Capone of pop.
you wouldn't wanna mess with Don Arden at all.
No, no.
So, was there a little Morris Levy in Don Arden? Like, "Hey, kid, I'll give you this. You gotta give me back this." Was it like one of those things with that guy, or what was his whole story? I
Well,
mean,
funny, his name was Harry Levy. That was his real name.
that was his real
Yeah, yeah.
name.
Don Arden was just a sort of business stage name kind of thing. His real name was Harry Levy.
So Sharon got her toughness and her whole thing, it's in the blood. It's in the
Oh, it
blood.
is. Yeah, in the genes, in the upbringing, in the environment. Yeah.
Was, Sharon's brother, like, tough like that too, or he was
No, 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 no. David didn't really want to be in the business. I think he wanted to have a career in medicine or be a doctor or something like that. But he
like
was
a
kind of circumstantially brought into the business, and he bowed out when his wife had a premature baby, and which was when Sharon took over. Then it had been David Arden up until that point, and then David's wife had a baby prematurely, and it was a bit of a sensitive situation, so he bowed out and Sharon took over. Sharon was just tour coordinator to start with. That was the that was mentioned in the tour program as had Sharon Arden tour organizer, and that was it. That was her role at
Did
that
he
point.
did Don just basically just hand you know what, I don't have time to deal with Ozzy. He's a wreck. You deal with him. Was it like that
Well, no,
afterwards?
it was Don was always the one that oversaw and made the final decisions,
Mhm.
and the day-to-day stuff was to start with was David, and then it became Sharon.
Well, very interesting. Very interesting story over there.
But it was
Um,
always Don was at the top. He was the governor.
Now what about the whole story with Dana Strum being supposedly involved trying to find Randy Rhoads? Is there any truth to any of that story? Because
As
I hear
far as
that.
I know, I wasn't there, and that was before Ozzy came back to England. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it was Dana Strum that said to Ozzy, "There's this guitar player you should see," because he knew that Ozzy was looking at guitar players
Mhm.
trying to find one. You know, I remember Sharon phoned me from LA when I was still in London, and she was asking me about if I knew any guitar players for Ozzy's new band. This was before I was involved. I think I might have still been with Rainbow then.
Mm.
But, yeah, yeah, it was Dana Strum that said, "Ozzy, you got to see this kid," and and Randy came in and just sort of played a bit, and I think Ozzy, it was quite late at night, and Ozzy was drunk, and he said, "You got the gig," and that was it. But Ozzy came back to England, and then he was going to form this other band with these other two guys. But I can't remember who they were. If I'd have been a yes man and
Yes.
said, "Okay, Ozzy, whatever you want," that band would have formed, and Randy wouldn't have been phoned back. You see,
If you
so I
I
was the one who said, "Yeah, they're good players, and they're nice enough guys, but I don't think they're world class." And that's when he said, "Well, I met this other guitar player over there, and he's he's a guitar teacher, and his name's Randy Rhoads." So I said, "Well, let's get him over instead." And
you
that's
were
what got
able
the ball rolling.
you had a working relationship with Ozzy, but you also had a connection with him, correct? You know, you guys had a similar sense of humor.
Oh,
Eh,
immediately, Ozzy and I, his words were, I still remember his exact words. He phoned Arthur Sharp, who was he worked in Jet Records. He was the one who introduced Ozzy to me at a gig in London, and Ozzy phoned Arthur Sharp after I'd gone to Ozzy's, and I was still there when Ozzy and I we went out into the kitchen and we had a chat, and that's when I mentioned to him about not being 100% sold on the other two guys, and Ozzy sort of dismissed them on the spot. And then he phoned Arthur Sharp and he said, "Yep, you're right. Bob and I get on like a house on fire. The fire brigade just left." And that was his words. And we did. It was it wasn't something we had to work at. It was just natural. We were just, there was a connection. We clicked, and it was
it
nice.
it
Oh
was
wow.
easy. So
Yeah.
you brought Lee in, correct?
No, no.
No.
I knew Lee from having done gigs when I was in Widowmaker. We'd done some shows
Mhm.
with Uriah Heep, but I knew who Lee was. But I think it was somebody at Jet Records that was finding us drummers and sending them down to our rehearsals and writing sessions, and that just to audition. We had loads of drummers coming down, and we had Jet Records, and people were sort of finding drummers and sending them down to us. And I think Lee was one of them, and he was the last one on the list. He was the last one to audition, and he was obviously the perfect guy. we didn't accept him because he was the last one
Mhm.
and there weren't any more after him. We accepted him because we knew immediately, yep, this is the guy.
It's so crazy, the whole story, listening to you talk, hearing about the friendship with you and Ozzy, and
Yeah.
just the vibe of the band, just the chemistry of the band. Um, where did it go? Where did it all go wrong? Like, what happened?
Well, I think the rot started to set in when um, Sharon and Lee didn't really see eye to eye. For some reason, there was this sort of thing between them where they didn't really get on. It didn't erupt into anything, but it just didn't feel right, and that was when we were on the road doing the 1980 UK tour, and Ozzy and Sharon began to pull me aside and say things like, let's get rid of Lee and let's get Tommy Aldrich in. Because Tommy Aldrich by then was in England and he was playing with Gary Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And but that was his gig. He was in the Gary Moore band. And I said to Ozzy and Sharon, no, I can't agree to that. I said, why are you trying to fix something that's not broken? This is working. We've got the chemistry, we've got the vibes, we've got the creativity. It's all working as it is. Why change anything? Why change the formula? It's working. We had the first album under our belt, and it had been received really well, and we were happy with it, and we knew we could keep going and come up with stuff, and we we began working on the second album after that tour, and I was still getting the sort of let's get rid of Lee thing. And then one night they took me to a gig at the Marquee in London to see Gary Moore play, and he had Tommy Aldrich with him playing. And at the end of the night, Ozzy and Sharon said to me, "Yeah, well, isn't Tommy a great drummer?" I said, "Yeah, he is. Tommy's a great drummer, but so is ours." I just didn't. It wasn't anything against Tommy, and it wasn't blind loyalty to Lee either. It was just I couldn't agree to something I thought was wrong, and I wouldn't. So in the end, they got rid of both of us, and then asked me back 6 weeks later. They got rid of me and Lee because I was standing firm on what I wouldn't agree to. I just stood firm on that, and I would never bend because I just thought it was wrong. And if I thought it was wrong, I wouldn't agree to it. And so I stood by Lee,
Mm-hmm.
and so they got rid of both of us to get rid of Lee, and then asked me back 6 weeks later. I got the phone call, "Will you come back and do the third album?" So I was meant to do a third album with Ozzy, Tommy Aldrich, and Randy and myself. That third album was supposed to happen in '82, but then Randy was killed in March '82, and that third album was put on the back burner, and that happened in '83 when Jakey Lee came in. Hard shoes to fill too. I mean, you're talking Randy Rhoads. He had already become a legend. And had really proved himself on those first two albums. It was wonderful stuff. But Jake did a great job of making those songs, and what Randy had done. He made them his, and he didn't copy everything that Randy did. He did interpretations of them and did a great job. I thought, playing the live stuff and what we came up with for the Bark at the Moon album.
Bob, do you think if you would have agreed and been more of a yes man, you would have stayed longer with Ozzy, and if you would agreed with
Possibly,
Sharon?
possibly.
Yeah.
But if I'd been like that, then the band. If I'd been different, if is a little word with a big meaning. My dad used to say, "Yeah, and if me auntie had balls, she'd be me uncle."
Now, the one that's great. The one thing
Yeah,
I thought was strange about the gig was, and he's a great player, nothing against him, Tom Morello, but from Rage Against the Machine, him being the music director, I thought that was a little odd. He like was the Paul Schaefer of the thing, putting it together, not Zach. Just my opinion. I thought there was a couple of little things I thought were a little odd of the whole thing.
yes,
Um,
yeah, I did. Well, I suppose he was appointed by Sharon. I suppose.
if you would have got an invite, you would not have went, but you'd have liked to have said a speech or something nice to Ozzy, correct?
Oh, I would have, yeah.
Yeah.
If they had invited me and said, "Okay, let's put bygones, let's make bygones be bygones, and just shake hands and say this is the end of it. We all did well out of this, and you were a part of it." I would have just sent them a message, just saying, "Well, it's been good, and happy retirement and whatever else."
I mean, I was watching when Bill Ward was playing, and I was just thinking about him and being up there, and you could tell he looked happy up there. Um, but I wonder how he was feeling when he was, not playing the final tour with them, and how he felt. He-
I
so-
spoke to Bill, and I don't think he was treated very well. I don't think he was treated fairly.
hmm.
He's a nice guy too, Bill. I like Bill. I worked with Bill and on his first solo album. Really nice. Always got good vibes from him. He was always nice to work with, and I really like his album too. The album that I played on it's called Ward One Along the Way, and great stuff. Really, really good stuff. And he's a nice bloke. I always liked Bill.
But Bill, he wasn't treated fair. He was almost treated like Lee in a crazy way, huh?
Yes, yes. A bit like how Bill Wyman was treated with the Stones.
Right? It
Yeah,
seems that way,
yeah,
huh? And
yeah.
Bill just
That's
had
it.
it.
Yeah,
But when you lose the ingredients like a Bill Wyman
that's right. That's
or a
right.
Lee or a
Yeah.
Bill
How do you
Ward,
take the egg out of a cake after it's baked?
it's you lost the yolk. Where's the flavor? It's
Yeah,
missing that thing. It really
yeah.
is.
The
Even
Stones don't sound the same. If somebody dies, there's no question to it. But if somebody's still alive and they're not in the band, and the band doesn't sound the same without
no,
them,
no.
it's just there's something lost
It's
unnecessarily.
it's these bands, yeah, and after a while they change, it gets diluted. That's the
Yes,
problem.
yes, yeah.
It's
It really turns to like a caricature of itself, of what it was and what it could have been and isn't anymore.
it loses it loses the soul because a lot of the
Yeah,
musicians later on,
essence
you
and
yeah,
character.
the
Yes,
essence. The one thing, it was nice to see Ozzy up there. He looked good. A little bit, I felt a little bad. I see them bringing him up from the stage. They're rolling him out in the chair. It was a little sad at that, but it's good to see him play and go up there and sing.
well, it was good that he took the challenge as well. Some people would have given up, but maybe
Now,
he didn't have that option though.
now, I
If you
have
know what I
notes here
mean.
from. I could get real technical. Some people were complaining, like some friends of mine in the business who with the tuning and all that, they're saying he's singing in this key or he's singing this, and how is he doing that? So some people had a lot of questions about it. It was
Right,
very,
right. There could have been some cheating going on.
I don't know. We don't know. Allegedly. We'll say the word allegedly so we're all safe
Right,
here, okay?
right. Could
But
have been. Yeah.
it could have been.
Yeah.
If that's for the audience to decide, but allegedly, I don't know. This seemed a little MacGyvering, but visually it looked good. It was good to see Bill Ward play. It was good to
Yes,
see Tony,
definitely. Yeah.
Giza. Um,
Yeah.
but selfishly,
And
it would
Tony
have
and
been.
Geezer look good, I thought, both of them. Hmm.
Oh man, I mean, Giza's bass playing too. When you watch his hand, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. And Tony is amazing. But it would have been nice, selfishly, and anybody watching this, in a nutshell, it would have been cool to see you, Jake, Tommy, or with Ozzy, or even Carmine.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
would have
yeah,
been
yeah.
cool. No
Yeah.
mention of
Well, see,
Carmine.
Carmine sued them as well. So he was anybody that sued them's not going to be there, which is me and
That
Carmine. And
that's the problem.
I don't know what happened with Don Airy. I don't know if there was any like politics there. I'm not sure, but and Johnny Cook, the keyboard player that played
Yeah.
on Diary of a Madman, he never got paid from Jet Records. He was supposed to get paid. He had to get the musicians union involved just to be paid. It was only session fees.
Whoa.
And he was supposed to be credited on the album, wasn't credited. No keyboard credit at all on Diary. People talk about, oh, Don Airey was credited for Diary. He's not. Nobody's credited for keyboards on Diary.
So how do you go to a guy like Don Arden and say, "Hey, I want my money. I wasn't credited. I'm going to take you to court."
I did take him to court.
Were you nervous about taking him to court because he's a tough guy?
Um, I think at the time we just put our heads down and thought we can't stand for this. We got to do what we got to do.
Wow.
Yeah. And we ended up in court with Don, and that was in the 80s.
In the end, you got credited. You got your
Well,
name out there.
that was it. You see, in the end, we got a payout,
Mhm.
and we kind of won the case, but there was no judgment, and
Mm.
so with no judgment, nothing got changed. So the credits on Diary of a Madman that Lee and I didn't get credited didn't get changed, and they've never
Wow.
been changed.
So
Those erroneous credits where it says Tommy Aldrich drums and Rudy Sarzo bass is just, bollocks.
so when people are looking at the credits and they're seeing a song written by Ozzy or Rudy Sarzo,
Oh no,
it's
we
not
got our songwriting credits.
okay. Okay.
We got songwriting credits. We didn't get performance credits, and we didn't get co-production. I mean, I put a lot into that album, that Diary of a Madman album, as far as production goes as well.
Mm.
Production ideas, arrangement ideas for the songs, and didn't get my production credit and didn't get my performance credit. So,
Wow. Well, you know what? You have every right to stand up for yourself, and anybody else that was in your shoes would do the same. And if they
sure,
didn't,
sure,
then they're out of their mind. Just to
yeah,
agree to say I'm playing, but yeah,
yeah,
the business is business. It's like you get paid for what you're doing, and you did a lot. You co-produced Blizzard of Oz.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the Blizzard of Ozz, that first album, all the credits are correct.
Hmm.
It's got our performance credits, it's got our songwriting credits, and it's got our production credit. Max Norman was the engineer, the house engineer at Ridge Farm, and so the band produced the album, and we got our production credit. So the first album, all the credits are correct, but Diary is the one that it's
There was a
from.
little funky. It got a little funky. Bob.
I
Here's
don't know about a little funky. It was just deliberate misrepresentation and misleading credits, erroneous.
you know what can I say? So you got screwed. You got
Yeah,
screwed. You got
yeah,
screwed. Let's just say it
yeah.
the
In
way
a
it is.
word,
I,
bend
I
over,
mean,
stick it in here. Yeah,
that's it. You're probably not going to get a Christmas card from the Osbournes, but it's almost like the Osbournes became the new Kardashians. I mean, you think about it. When you think about it, it's like, listen, Ozzy, what he did, you can never take it away, but you can't take away from guys who added to the soup, like guys like you, guys like Lee, and so on and so on and so on.
the whole
You sh-
the, the whole thing was meant to happen, and there wasn't one person that was any more important than anyone else.
n-
It wouldn't have worked the same without Ozzy. It
no,
wouldn't have worked the same without Randy. It wouldn't have worked the same without Lee, and it wouldn't have worked the same without me. So
and
the
that's the
four
end
of
of
us made that band, and it made it special. And
absolutely.
I'm really pleased and proud to have been a part of it. It's They were great days, and we had a great time doing those albums. Just job satisfaction. It was when you look back and you finish recording and you listen back and you just sit back and listen to what you've done. You think, yep, this is good. We're happy. We're pleased.
If you had a message right now well, not if your message to the fans that are listening, what would you like to say to them since it's all retired, it's all over, the end? What would you like to? Because you're as big as
I,
Ozzy to
I
me.
just hope
So
you know the truth behind all of it. Appreciating the music, love you for it. Buying the music, love you for it. Keeping the music alive, love you for it. But just always seek the truth behind it all, because a lot of what you've heard, maybe believe, could possibly not be the truth.
You think Ozzy got manipulated through the whole thing? He was just
Well, nobody made him say things like, "Oh, when I wrote Suicide Solution," or "When I wrote this." You didn't write it. Even the title "Suicide Solution" was mine. I wrote all the lyrics. When there was the lawsuit because
Mhm.
some young lad had blown his brains out, and they found our record on his record deck, and the side up was had Suicide Solution on it. So they were blaming that song, and the parents were suing the Osbournes for their son having been killed. They didn't question themselves and say, "What's wrong with our son? Why is he at home by himself with a loaded gun?" No, they went after the Osbournes because of that record, and their lawyers spoke to me because I was the one who'd written the lyrics. And it certainly was not. I would never do that, as advise anybody to kill themselves.
Wow. Wow.
Suicide Solution was a warning against drinking yourself to death. It was really inspired by Ozzy, because when he was out of Sabbath and he was brokenhearted, and he said it was like going through a divorce. He was drinking a lot, and I used to get on his case just to help him, not to criticize him, but to help him, to help us, and to help our situation. And that's what I did. And I got on his case, and I wouldn't relent. I just I tried to get the best out of him. I took him out jogging with me. I asked him to not to drink during the day, and it was gradually coming round, and it was helping. So, but he was inspirational for me writing that song "Suicide Solution."
So that's where it all took place. He was in a dark place, Ozzy, at that
Yeah,
time in his life.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
he
that's
he
crazy.
told me leaving Sabbath, or getting kicked out of Sabbath. He said it felt like going through a divorce. That's
Hmm.
what he told me at the time. He'd been with him 11 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories. Before we go, I
Yeah.
I took some questions. Well, there was a couple of people had emailed me, and like I said, you complete the fifth. I'm just going to share
Oh,
them with
yeah,
you,
that's right.
and,
You had
and
some questions. Yeah,
just
yeah,
look at
go
them.
ahead.
You could laugh at it. You could answer them. It's up to you. But it's always good to know what's the other side. The people, what are they thinking? What are they writing? David White. Bob Daisley, yes. Please have
Oh,
Bob on. Ask him about the letter from June 1980 that is allegedly written by Ozzy talking about the band being called the Blizzard of Oz. What
I have
letter?
seen that. I've seen a photocopy of that letter in Ozzy's handwriting, and it was to Tony Iommi. And he said, "I've got a new band, and it's called the Blizzard of Oz." And that was in his handwriting. Of course, the band was called the Blizzard of Oz.
Wow.
That was one thing that even before Lee came in, that Randy and I were adamant
Hmm.
about having a band name. We said we don't mind if Ozzy's name's in it, or if it says featuring the voice of Black Sabbath, or featuring Ozzy Osbourne, or whatever, but we want a band name. It's not going to be called the Ozzy Osbourne Band, and it's not going to be called anything other than a band name. So Ozzy said that Ozzy's father had died not long before that, and I know that broke Ozzy up, but his father suggested the name the Blizzard of Oz because it had Oz in it, so we thought, yep. But the Blizzard of Oz sounds like a band name. It's obviously not a solo project. So Randy and I said, well, we're doing too much to have like a solo project thing. It's got to be a band. And when Lee came in, he was just as adamant as us, and so we said, yep, the Blizzard of Oz it is then. Okay, so we named the band the Blizzard of Oz.
Right.
But when the album came out, it's got in big writing Ozzy Osbourne, in smaller writing the Blizzard of Oz, and it makes it look like an Ozzy Osbourne record called the Blizzard of Oz. So, but the band was called the Blizzard of Oz, and that, yes, that letter that Dave White's talking about is, there's a copy of that letter floating about on the net. It's in Ozzy's handwriting, and it's to Tony Iommi, and he's talking about his new band called the Blizzard of Oz. Yes.
Well, which this was a promo. It says Blizzard of Ozz
Well,
right here.
that's a Jet Records from a Jet Records photo session and promo photograph of the band.
Uh-huh. There you go.
I mean that wasn't about an album. That's the name of the band, and it's got Blizzard of Ozz written under it. Early
Let's see.
involvement in the band, asking to confirm that Ozzy punched Randy Rhoads.
Is there any truth to that?
Oh yeah, Ozzy punched Randy. Yeah, I wasn't there, but Tommy Aldrich was, and Don Airy, and they told me that they witnessed that they saw it. Because I remember Tommy told me, he said, yeah, because I remember he used the American term sucker punch. He said it was a sucker punch too, meaning that Randy wasn't even looking when Ozzy whacked him. And that's according to Tommy. I wasn't there, but I'm just relaying what Tommy told me. And yes.
So bam. What was that all?
He called
Why?
him an ungrateful little shit because he told me that, well, see, Randy wanted to leave. He wanted to leave the band. He wanted to pursue his master's degree and study and just leave the band and go off the road. And that upset Ozzy. And apparently, it is alleged that Ozzy punched him and called him an ungrateful little shit. And
that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what was the other part of the question?
That was the other part. The other part he wrote, I can't say
the narrative.
Asking about to confirm the Ozzy punch
early involvement in the band. I don't know what does he mean? Asking about the bullshit narrative.
Yeah. Ask him about the BS narrative.
About the early involvement in the band. I'm not sure what he means there, but
yeah. And then he says, I have many other questions, but that's all he wrote. That was his email. That's what I got from him. But Dave, thanks for the question if you're watching. And thanks for the email. Thanks for writing. Let's see what else. Now we put some questions, ask Bob. Let's see what some people say over here really quick. Why did Bob not play in Birmingham yesterday?
We've covered that one. Yeah.
I think there's too much. Who wrote that? At GYX453. Well, you know what? I think we did cover it. And after listening to this, I think you know why. But it would have been nice to see Bob up there just be recognized. I mean, Bob, you're the Paul McCartney of the Blizzard of Ozz. That's all I'm going to say. You're that guy, and you can't disregard that. Your legacy lives on. You know it. I mean, the fans know it, and they're telling you right here. Let's see the next one.
When writing with Randy, did you find that chord progressions and arrangements were half and half, or did you prompt Randy and help him develop those skills? I think the environment of Randy and me writing together brought out the best in both of us. Randy had some great musical ideas, but he needed to be in the right environment to really shine. Because if you look at what he did in Quiet Riot, I mean, they were a decent band, but they were sort of glam pop rock, and that wasn't really what Randy needed to make him bring himself out of himself. And I think with Randy and myself working together, it brought the best out in both of us. But it's not something that you consciously do. It just things happen, you know. Somebody will play something and somebody else will play a little different something, and all of a sudden you have a new part, and there's a lot of spontaneity involved as well, and things that just happen. You know, it's chemistry, it's a formula, and it's energies, and the stars were aligned, and we were meant to do it. And I'm very, very honored to have played with Randy. You know, what a great player and what a great musician.
One more I'll put up here for you.
Okay.
Let's see what this last one is right here. Boom, right over here. I like to shoot names. I can't read it. Is it Jemba Docs has a question. Did Sharon do all the dirty work about shafting them commercially, keeping Ozzy out of it, or did Ozzy actively join in? Was Ozzy really dumb, or did he just play dumb? Curious to know. P.S. Bob, you're a rock legend. Well, there you go. So
Okay.
did,
I think a lot of Ozzy wasn't particularly well educated, but I think he was quite street smart. And I think he hid behind this, I don't know, you'll have to ask Sharon. It was a bit like that. And I think I think Ozzy was a bit kind of non-confrontational and a little bit weak and a little bit cowardly, and he left Sharon to do the dirty work, and he wouldn't have done it himself.
mm,
But it was Sharon that phoned me and told me that Lee and I were out, and then like I said, 6 weeks later, I got the phone call saying, "Will you do the third album with Ozzy and Randy and Tommy Aldrich?" But yeah, I think politically Ozzy was deliberately kept out of it, just as a sort of a move on their part. But yeah, he wouldn't have been the one to phone up and say, well, this is how it is or isn't or whatever.
yeah, there you go. And P.S.
And
You're a rock legend. That's a nice one right there.
yeah, well, thank you.
But anyway, Bob, I appreciate you being here, and always great talking with you and chatting with you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you. It's always enjoyable, and
Yeah,
I appreciate the fans' questions and their interest. Yeah, it's good.
yeah, we'll have to do more with the fans and get some more questions from
Yeah,
them
we can
too.
do. Yeah, we can do a send in your questions kind of thing, and do that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. There might be new questions if they read the book, because people seem to love the book. It's getting great reviews on Amazon and that, so it's been very well received.
everybody click on the link, order the book, get it now, and make sure after this ends, click here and here for our next episode. Remember, Who Loves You, Baby? We do. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking it out. And now check out Bob's book. And also we'll do some giveaways. So make sure you go in the description and check it all out. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye, everybody.